I am Toros. Welcome to What's Happening in Turkey. Turkey is currently experiencing a turbulent period marked by political unrest, an escalating economic crisis, and deepening social divisions. This week, two major events have captured the nation's attention: the detention of two prominent business leaders and the formal announcement that Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, will run for president. As legal pressures mount, another municipality has been placed under government control. Meanwhile, the opposition's silence in the face of these developments is fueling public dissatisfaction. The economic crisis is also becoming more visible, with tragic incidents such as deaths from counterfeit alcohol and the ever-growing cost of living. In this episode, we will explore not just the surface-level events, but also the deeper forces at play and the potential outcomes. The events of this week offer crucial insights into Turkey's future. Let's take a closer look. İmamoğlu, the only candidate. Ekrem İmamoğlu, who became the mayor of Istanbul in 2019, has emerged as the strongest candidate for the opposition in Turkey's upcoming presidential election. Over the past 6 years, he has faced 5 separate indictments, with prosecutors demanding a sentence of up to 23 years in prison and imposing 5 separate political bans. İmamoğlu has pointed directly to President Erdogan, accusing him of orchestrating the legal actions against him, stating, "These cases bear his signature." In light of the mounting legal pressures, the main opposition party, the Republican People's Party, has decided to announce its candidate earlier than planned. İmamoğlu will run unchallenged in the primary elections on March 23rd. Barring any unforeseen legal developments, his candidacy will be finalized by the end of March. Business executives detained. On February 18th, a series of police raids targeted political organizations linked to the People's Democratic Congress, as well as several journalists. 53 people were detained and 30 were arrested. The investigation, which involves over 6,000 individuals, accuses them of spreading terror propaganda for their support of protests that occurred during the 2013 Gezi protests and the 2015 Trustee protests. But the situation took an unprecedented turn when the leaders of TÜSİAD, Turkey's most influential business association, were detained. Their speeches at the organization's General Assembly were cited as the reason for the arrests. They are now accused of attempting to influence the judiciary and spreading misleading information. Both leaders were eventually released under strict travel bans. Behind the scenes, it was revealed that a comment made by TÜSİAD's head, Orhan Turan, which suggested that forming a criminal organization is easier than starting a company in Turkey, triggered the police action. A deadly economic crisis. Turkey's economic downturn has led to increasingly tragic public health issues. In the capital, Ankara, 63 people have died after consuming fake alcohol, a number that continues to rise. The rampant inflation, which has made legal, regulated alcohol unaffordable for many, has pushed people toward dangerous, unregulated alternatives. The government's failure to effectively control this crisis is contributing to these preventable deaths. In another example of the economic strain, Turkey has become the most expensive country in the world to purchase the latest iPhone model. Apple's iPhone 16e, which costs $599 in the United States, is priced at a staggering $1,325 in Turkey. Remarkably, due to high taxes, the Turkish government earns more from each phone sold than Apple does itself. This high taxation, coupled with poor market regulation, is worsening the nation's economic woes. Raid on a popular fast food chain. One of the most surprising events of the week was the government raid on Maydanoz Döner, a popular Turkish fast food chain with 410 locations across the country. Simultaneous operations were carried out in 31 cities, with 353 individuals, including the company's owners and managers, being detained. Maydanoz Döner, a sponsor of Turkey's famous football team Galatasaray, was accused of financing the Gülen movement. As a result of the operation, the company was placed under government control. This raid highlights a growing trend of government intervention in private enterprises. These sudden and unpredictable actions create an environment where property rights are no longer secure, both discouraging foreign investment and increasing uncertainty within the economy. Such operations, justified by work, associations and connections, erode the rule of law, fuel public fear, and stifle competition, further exacerbating Turkey's economic and political instability. The opposition's silence. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of the current situation is the opposition's complete lack of response to these events. Rather than holding the government accountable, the opposition remains paralyzed, failing to address the political and economic turmoil unfolding before them. Even when 10 members of his party were arrested, the leader of the main opposition, Özgür Özel, continued with his planned schedule and attended a concert, demonstrating a shocking level of detachment. This inability to challenge the status quo only deepens public frustration and feeds into growing sense of hopelessness. Ankara's diplomatic uncertainty. While Turkey's government may seem secure domestically, it appears to be searching for a new direction in foreign diplomacy. Following the collapse of the Syrian regime, President Erdogan's focus shifted from the Kremlin to Washington. But his attempts to engage with President Trump didn't yield the results he had hoped for. Ironically, in the same week that Trump called Ukraine's President Zelensky a dictator, Erdogan welcomed Zelensky to Ankara. This visit occurred just as Trump accused Zelensky of being responsible for the war in Ukraine, adding a layer of complexity to an already tense geopolitical situation. It appears that Ankara may be attempting to distance itself from both Russia and the United States, while signaling its interests in Europe. However, given the unpredictability of Erdogan's leadership style, it's too early to make any definitive conclusions about Turkey's future diplomatic course. As Turkey grapples with an increasingly authoritarian government, the opposition's inaction only fuels public frustration, with legal pressures growing and the rule of law eroding. The sense of justice and fairness in the country is diminishing. Meanwhile, economic instability, public health crisis, and a lack of foreign investment have created a volatile environment. Turkey's future remains uncertain, and it's unclear whether the country will be able to weather this storm. I'm Tarik Toros. You've been watching What's Happening in Turkey. See you next week.